The heavy doors groaned open, an ominous creak that echoed through the dimly lit corridor, announcing my arrival to a world I had only seen from the outside. Anxiety surged as I stepped inside, surrounded by the clatter of guards barking orders and the muffled whispers of new inmates, each lost in their own fears. I felt the weight of hardened stares upon me, a palpable reminder of where I now belonged. The cold, sterile atmosphere sent a shiver down my spine. It was a place ruled by an unyielding power dynamic, where mercy was a forgotten concept. As I took my first step deeper into this reality, the realization washed over me. I was no longer Marcus Jensen, the man I once knew. Now, I was just another number in a system designed to strip away identity. Confusion and dread twisted inside me, a dark premonition of the struggles to come. Little did I know, my journey had only begun. The atmosphere is stifling, each breath heavy with the scent of metal and regret. I'm led through the labyrinth of corridors, fluorescent lights flickering above, casting shadows that dance mockingly on the walls. The guards bark orders, their voices echoing like thunder, while fellow inmates eye me with a mixture of suspicion and indifference. I hear snippets of conversations, tales of past lives and crimes, filling the air with a haunting cacophony. Orientation is quick, a blur of rules and regulations that feel both foreign and suffocating. I take note of the boundaries, the unspoken agreements that govern this new reality. It's a game of survival, where respect is earned and betrayal lurks around every corner. I find myself reflecting on my choices, the life I left behind, and the weight of regret pressing down like the iron bars that now confine me. Here, amidst the echoes of despair, my transformation begins. The routine of prison life dulls the mind, yet sharpens the senses. Breakfast echoes in the steel and concrete halls, with the clang of metal trays signaling the beginning of another day. Marcus finds himself seated at a long table under fluorescent lights, the grimy walls reflecting the pale faces of his fellow inmates. Their conversations blend into a monotonous hum, punctuated by the occasional shout from a guard. Each day unfolds with a chilling regularity. The designated hour for exercise, the communal showers, and the stifling silence of his cell at night. Yet, amidst this suffocating cycle, moments of clarity emerge. Marcus observes the nuances of survival, the subtle exchanges, the careful navigation of alliances and enmities. In this deranged microcosm, the familiar becomes surreal, laughter and despair intertwine. He realizes that even in this oppressive environment, the human spirit flickers, seeking connection and meaning against the overwhelming tide of hopelessness. The chaos of prison life often drowned out the whispers of connection, but in the heart of it, I found an unlikely ally in Eliana. Once a respected professor, she now shared space with hardened criminals, but her intellect shone brightly amidst the darkness. They say the strongest bonds are forged in fire, and ours was no different. Our conversations transcended the concrete walls surrounding us, diving deep into philosophy, the essence of freedom, and our dreams, which seemed so far removed from the grim reality we endured. Eliana challenged me to rethink my perspective on life, urging me to embrace my potential, rather than surrender to despair. In moments of despair, her laughter pierced the bleakness, reminding me that humanity flickers even in the most oppressive surroundings. As we painstakingly stitched together our fragmented hopes, I realized that perhaps redemption was not an elusive concept, but a pathway carved through understanding and companionship. In the oppressive silence that often fills the mess hall, Marcus learned the unspoken rules of survival, enduring a code of silence among inmates that dictated loyalty above all else. Conversations fell to hushed tones, secrets exchanged like currency, and the slightest betrayal could mean a life-altering consequence. He began to understand the weight of trust, recognizing the precarious balance between friendships forged in desperation and the constant threat of manipulation. One inmate, a hardened criminal with a reputation for ruthlessness, recounted tales of survival that danced with both danger and admiration. Marcus listened closely, absorbing every fleeting moment of raw honesty while weighing the cost of his own truths. Each day brought new choices, and he found himself wrestling with conflicting instincts, to remain guarded amidst the chaos or to open up and risk vulnerability. Shadows of doubt crept in, reminding him that in this world silence was both a shield and a potential snare. As the days folded into each other, The prison's undercurrents of power and fear pulsated like a living beast. I found myself increasingly aware of the unspoken rules that governed inmate interactions. Loyalty was the currency, betrayal, a death sentence. The seasoned men of the yard, their tattoos telling stories of survival and violence, exerted an ever-present influence. One evening, I inadvertently overheard a confrontation between gang leaders, a clash of egos and shaky alliances. As fists flew and the shouts echoed, I realized I was teetering on a precarious edge. My heart raced, torn between instinctual self-preservation and the moral obligation to choose my own path. I started observing the delicate balance of respect and fear, learning that silence could be a shield and that sometimes decisions made in the shadows shape destinies. With each confrontation, a different lesson emerged, and I began to understand more about the dark camaraderie binding these lives together amid chaos. In the days following the riot, the atmosphere within the prison had shifted dramatically. The echoes of chaos still reverberated through the halls, but now, amidst the lingering fear, a sense of reflection took root. I found solace in small gatherings with my fellow inmates, where we shared stories and memories that transcended our grim reality. It was during these moments that humanity flickered, revealing the shared sorrows and lost dreams we each carried. I listened intently as Eliana spoke of her passion for literature, and I began to see writing not just as an escape, but as a powerful means of expression. In the wake of the violence, whispers of rehabilitation programs began to circulate. I felt a spark of hope igniting within me. Could art and storytelling be a pathway to healing? I committed myself to this newfound purpose, eager to reclaim my voice and rewrite my narrative, even within these oppressive walls. As the days dwindled and my release date loomed, a storm brewed within me, clashing emotions battling for dominance. Familiar routines had become my lifeline, and now I was faced with the unfamiliar abyss of freedom. Conversations with Eliana echoed in my mind, her words urging me to recognize the world outside as a chance for rebirth, rather than a cavern of fear. The bustling sounds of fellow inmates during yard time morphed into a reminder of the life I would soon leave behind, begging the question, could I resist the dark pull of the streets? I walked the corridors, listening to the murmurs around me, internalizing the whispers of despair and hope. Each clang of heavy cell doors stood as a reminder of my past, while the distant world beyond those walls taunted me with visions of a brighter future. The prospect of change ignited a flicker of determination deep within. I understood that my journey towards redemption had only just begun. The days dwindled down, the anticipation of release hanging heavy like the oppressive silence of my cell. My mind races as I envision the outside world, a place buzzing with life where the air is filled with sounds I have long forgotten. I sit on the edge of my bunk, heart pounding, grappling with a maelstrom of emotions, excitement, fear, and the haunting specter of failure. Conversations with Eliana echo in my thoughts, warnings about the insidious pull of the past. As I gaze through the bars, the distant shouts of inmates in the yard remind me of the thin line I walk. Freedom is tantalizingly close, yet I'm painfully aware of the potential for relapse. The prison walls seem to vibrate with tension, an echo of my own internal struggle. I question whether I am truly ready to step back into the world, or if the shadows of my past will ensnare me once more. The chaos of the riot left scars deeper than the surface wounds. The aftermath enveloped the prison like a thick fog, heavy with unspoken fears and painful memories. As silence settled, Marcus found himself drowning in the echo of screaming voices and the stark realization of how close he'd come to losing it all. He sat in his cell, heart racing, replaying the decisions that nearly cost him his life. It was in that moment of despair that clarity began to emerge. With the help of Eliana, he committed to change, enrolling in prison programs focused on healing through creativity. Each brushstroke and penned word became a lifeline, a testament to his resolve to transform pain into art. Days turned into weeks as he embraced this newfound purpose, igniting a fire within, a determination not just to survive the walls of incarceration, but to redefine what it meant to live, even in confinement. As the day of his release drew nearer, Marcus found himself ensnared in a web of emotions, anticipation tangled with trepidation. The muffled sounds of the prison transformed into a cacophony of memories. The clanging of metal doors and the distant shouts of guards were reminders of his confinement. Yet outside their walls lay the unknown, ripe with potential and peril. He often found solace in the conversations he had with other inmates about life beyond bars. Their dreams, laced with doubt, echoed in his mind. Would he truly find a fresh start? The thought weighed heavily on him. During yard time, the vastness of the sky felt like a distant promise. He watched the clouds shift, imagining them merging with the bustling sounds of the city, horns honking, children laughing, life moving on. How different it would be to navigate that world, free but haunted by the shadows of his past. He clung to the hope that the prison walls, while confining, had also shaped him into someone capable of change. The heavy weight of prison walls slowly faded as Marcus stepped into the sunlight, the warmth enveloping him like a long-lost embrace. Each breath of the outside world felt surreal, as if he were awakening from a dark dream. The bustling streets of the city contrasted sharply with the sterile silence of his cell, the cacophony of voices and vehicles overwhelming yet invigorating. He felt unprepared, like a ghost navigating among the living. The sights, sounds, and smells ignited memories of what he had fought so hard to escape, but also what he had longed for during his incarceration. As he wandered through the unfamiliar terrain of freedom, memories of the rigid routines and haunting echoes of prison life flickered in his mind. His heart raced with both anticipation and fear, a constant reminder of the choices that lay ahead. With a deep breath, he resolved to embrace the path of change, eager to forge a new identity beyond the shadows of his past. As Marcus stepped forward into the daylight, he carried not just the weight of his past, but a renewed purpose. The streets felt foreign beneath his feet, yet filled with echoes of promise. He ventured into community centers, where he found his voice resonating amidst troubled youths. Each encounter was a chance to share his story, to unveil the journey from darkness to light. In the small, cluttered meeting room, he began mentoring at-risk teens, weaving his narrative into cautionary tales. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, walls built from mistrust began to crumble. These young faces, filled with defiance and vulnerability, mirrored his own past. Each session resonated with a powerful message. Choices shape lives, and every moment is an opportunity for change. As he guided them, Marcus discovered that redemption was not merely a concept, but a living, breathing entity that could fortify hearts against despair. Hope was contagious, and together they forged a path toward brighter tomorrows.